everyone. I am Michelle Cooper, and today I am joined in the Say Yes to the Mess interview series by Sherri Lee, one of my favorite clients and a social media queen. Like this lady knows her shiznit. So, welcome, Sherri Lee. It's good to talk to you today.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you for inviting me on. I love talking about the mess that is Facebook. No offense, Facebook, if you're listening.
Right? I love that. I love that. So, as if you've watched this kind of interview series before, you'll know that what we're talking about is saying yes to the mess that we've created in our business. And what I specialize in is helping you say yes to the mess of your finances, and the your financial house of your business. And Sherri Lee does the same thing when we in our social media aspect of our business, and in particular in Facebook, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I only work on Facebook. I teach people how to use Facebook to get more clients for their businesses, how to sell out their programs, Facebook groups, Facebook pages, Facebook ads. But ask me about any other social media network, and I'll be like, well, I know it's there.
Yeah, I really love that. So I want to acknowledge you for that, because so many times when I'm putting my business coaching hat on and I'm talking to people about niching down, they'll say, "Oh yeah, but I want to help all these people," and it's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I get it," but when we can niche down and become an industry leader or an expert in one particular aspect, we can deliver so much more value.
Right. Right. And when I started my business, I started out offering. I did workshops, and I was teaching entrepreneurs how to set up and use Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And it had taken me about 8 months to pick the three platforms, because I discovered there was well over 100, even way back then, 10 years ago. There was well over 100 social networks, and those three were the big three. And I was amazed at the number of people who came into my workshops and would say to me, okay, well, I set up 6 new social media accounts last night, and they'd list off 6 platforms, and they'd go, I don't know what to do with them. And, going back to the topic of your show, what a mess.
Yeah.
It's worse to have an account on Instagram if you never use it than to not have it. And so for, a year and a half or so, I continued on the path of the 3 platforms. And around 2015, I just said, you know what? Facebook is where I have the most fun. Facebook has the most bells and whistles. If you can successfully grow your business and get visible on Facebook and start making money from Facebook, that's when it's time to start adding in some other social networks. But in the early days, everybody ran around and said you have to be on every network. And I still to this day disagree with that. Pick the one that your audience is on and focus on that. Figure out how to use that one. Because even within like Facebook, if you just pick Facebook, it's a mess there too, because my profile, how do I use my profile, how do I use my page, how do I use my group, when do I use ads, can I just run ads and everything will just be fine? Even within just one platform, there's so many things to do and to learn how to do. You want to do that one well and have it contributing to your business, and then go and add some other things in when you have the space to cut down
Awesome.
on that clutter of social media.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so you have um, what I would deem a thriving business now. Doing
I
this.
do. I'm
Yeah,
I'm I'm so grateful that I started my business when I did, and that I focused on growing the business online from my home in what should be our formal living room, which is my office, that I focused on, having my kids homeschool through their entire life, because this year when there was all the upheaval, I was able to step into helping more people bring their businesses online instead of having to worry about how do I keep my business going.
right, right.
And um, focusing just on Facebook, I mean, 95% of my business comes from Facebook.
Great. And has it always, like, has your business been Like, just as an entrepreneur, has your business always been neat and tidy and all in order?
I would love to meet an entrepreneur who ever had that situation that went on for longer than 30 minutes of being neat and tidy. I
Right.
mean, no, you know, I'm going to make a long story short, and I said that before I started, so it's not going to be a long story by the time I say that. Um, I'd started my business as a married woman with two small kids, and the intent was just to bring in some extra money for me. My husband was self-employed, and his business was a total mess. And I wanted some income in for when his business was not generating what we needed, because when his wasn't working, it was me and the kids that went without. So I wanted some extra money for me. So it was intended to be a part time, casual, on the side kind of business. 6 months after I started that business, I took the kids out one day and he changed the locks on our family home while we were out and refused to let us back into the home and ended our 14-year marriage that way. And that was 10 years ago, and has we have not seen him, spoken to him, heard from him since.
Wow.
So talk about a mess. I shortly afterwards learned he'd left me with almost $1 million in debt, and he destroyed my credit. It destroyed my financial situation. And I was making $1,000 a month. I couldn't support a fleet, let alone a family. And
Yeah.
so I just kind of went into that thing that I think a lot of people do, survival mode, of just like saying yes to everything that came up. And I was just focused on, how do I pay the bills? How do I meet this crisis? It was just one fire after the other being put out. And I functioned like that for a long time. And did I know anything about running a business? I didn't know how to get clients. I didn't know how to bill clients. I didn't know how to serve clients. I mean, I said to many people when they asked me how much my services were, how much do you feel like paying me for that? What a mess. It was really, the first few years was just total upheaval. And then I started getting a little bit more selective about how I ran my business. I got a little bit more narrow in my focus. I mean, that niching down just makes it so much easier to have time to do thrival instead of just survival, because you're focused and you're doing this and that and this and that. And once you start really getting clear on what you're doing and who you're doing it for. But even then, every time a new opportunity came up, there's a new mess. I mean, and you came into my life because I needed a new accountant,
Mhm.
because as the business grew, there was that mess over there that needed to be addressed, and I had no clue, and I wasn't going to figure it out or even try. I needed a professional to help with that particular mess. And over a period of time now, we've gotten that in a much better space.
Yeah.
And you persisted through my resistance to everything, because it challenged me to grow. But it's the same
Yeah.
thing over and over. I mean, I think every time we choose something greater for ourselves and our businesses, we discover that we have a new mess to clean up. So has it
Mhm.
ever been tidy? Maybe for 30 minutes, and then I made
Right.
a mess
I love
somewhere.
that. Well, I love that because it's the reality of business, right? And this is what I said, like, when I met you, um, like, shit happens, and we have to figure it out and work through it and be willing to do the work. And, I can remember having Sunday phone calls with you where it's like, let's just go through this right now. Like, let's just
Yeah,
hop on the phone and just look at this together,
right.
right?
And
And
I
to
was
be
blown
willing to
away
do
that you
that.
would do that.
Pardon?
I was blown away that you were willing to do that. That was
Well, I think,
amazing.
yeah, well, I think, it's important, right? Like, to just, whatever you're doing, to meet the client where they're at, right? Like, and support them and understand, when you often when you're cleaning up a mess, which I can imagine, just say Facebook or social media, there's things that doesn't understand, and there's things that you don't understand. And so by talking and being willing to look at it together, you see, oh, now this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I acknowledge you
Yeah.
for all the work you've done. It's a phenomenal story, Sherry Lee. Like, from where I met you to where you are now, regardless of the finances of the situation, like it's been huge improvement, but just your willingness to work in it and to like face it is phenomenal. So
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you. It helped, having you in my corner, and I think I've been a whole lot more work than you expected when we started working together, and I'm grateful for that. That you were willing to stick with me. But I think that's kind of like you just said. I think it's kind of like that in a lot of situations, depending on how you're working with somebody. I mean, if you're selling, a done for you program, then maybe not. But if you are having somebody hire you as a higher end service, whether it's coaching or done for you or whatever, I think that's part of the agreement that we make is that we meet that person where they are, but then we also put our hand out and give them a path that they can take to rise up, right? To choose a greater future for
Yeah.
themselves. And,
Oh,
I'm grateful that I met you because you
absolutely.
helped me to do that. And then we turn around and we share that with the people coming into our worlds as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember hearing like a metaphor of, I think it was Oprah. I heard Oprah say, like, think about like a crab pot, right? And like the crabs are trying to crawl out, and like one crab gets his little claw on the edge, and he's got his other claw down, and the other crabs are like climbing up him to get out. And so we all can help each other as we rise, right? Is what I kind of
Hmm.
took from
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes we're a
Absolutely.
little bit ahead of other people, and sometimes we're lifting people up. Sometimes we're grabbing up to pull ourselves up, right? Depends what aspect of your business you're
Absolutely.
talking. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I want to,
Hmm.
you have such a wealth of information. And if anybody is ever wanting to learn how to do business on Facebook, absolutely, you are my go to person. I direct them to. Um, How do people get more visibility for their business on Facebook? Because I've heard like all kinds of things, like the algorithm doesn't support business and it's a social network. And I'm just like, I don't even know, can you do business on Facebook anymore? Like, how do they get more visibility for their business?
Absolutely. I hear this same thing a lot. And I mean, the first thing I'm going to say is Facebook makes way too much money with Facebook ads to ever stop promoting businesses, to ever stop having a place for business. People who are on Facebook just for social relationships aren't running Facebook ads, first off. So the whole piece that they've built around Facebook ads and the creator studio and your business page, that is all specifically designed for the people in business who want to leverage the fact that there are over 3 billion people on Facebook. I mean, with that number, there is somebody there for every industry out there. I've not found a business that hasn't been able to connect. But listen, it's not about heavy handed, one way communication sales. So the algorithm is merely a computer program that is set up to help Facebook determine what content to show you in your newsfeed. Because there's so much content being created, they couldn't possibly show you all that content. So the average person has about 1,500 friends and likes about 130 pages. That's the average. If every single one of those people and pages made one piece of content in a day, you would not be able to scroll through it. And you wouldn't want to see it all because it's not all going to be interesting to you. Just because you're friends with someone does not mean you want to see what they ate for lunch. Or just
Right?
because you like someone's business page does not mean that you want to hear every time they have something on sale. So the algorithm is qualifying the content that's created based on the engagement that that content gets, likes, comments, and shares. That's it. That's all it can track. It's like the frequent shoppers programs that we have at all of our grocery stores. Our invitations every week, our offers every week is based on our previous purchasing that we've done. The
Right.
post you see in your newsfeed is based on the previous post that you have liked, commented, and shared on. So if you see a post from me, say, let's say I put a post out and you see it in your newsfeed and you just scroll by it, the algorithm says, well, that post wasn't interesting to Michelle. So next time Sherri Lee posts something, we aren't going to show that to her because that's wasting her time. Facebook wants you to
Oh,
stay on Facebook and have fun and be engaged and be on Facebook. They want you doing things. They don't want you to be passive. They want you to be interacting on Facebook. So if you scroll past my post, the algorithm says, well, that post was boring to Michelle. Why would we show Michelle another boring post? Because what'll
right,
you do? You'll say, well, that's boring, and you'll leave Facebook to go somewhere else.
right, right,
So when you're posting on your business page, I mean, I think everybody's fallback is this is my business page. This is where I do business. So I should be talking about what I do. How do people know that they want to hire me if I don't share the most interesting article that just came out about mortgage rates or about, the Canadian dollar, how it sits against something else, or again, about, something, and I'm picking kind of boring examples because who wants to read that stuff all the time? But
right,
that's how we think is how will anybody know that they want to hire me if they don't know that I know what I'm doing and that I can get results for them? And they need to know that. But if that's all they hear, they're going to get bored of that. And then they're not going to want to do business with you. They're not going to respond to any of your posts, and the algorithm will stop showing your posts to people.
right,
So at the beginning, you said the algorithm's not geared for business, it's geared for relationship building first. And we do
right,
business from relationships. So we
right,
want to make it easy for the reader to like, comment, and share. We want to share things that don't have to do with us. I say about 80% of the time, you should be creating content that is specifically geared to make it easy for the reader of your post to interact with you.
right.
Shouldn't be one way. It should be enticing. It should be bringing out a conversation. It should be asking questions that are easy to answer. Because every time you can get somebody to like, comment, and share in a post, the algorithm says, well, that's interesting. So now we're going to show it to more people.
Mm, nice. I like that. I like that. And how does your visibility um, improve your business?
So it's the next step, right? We get people to interact with this content that is engaging, that's interactive. We get the algorithm to play with us. We stack up our engagement, and that's when we do something promotional about 20% of the time. We do
Right,
something promotional and we say something that is more businessy. Maybe it is, an invitation to something. Maybe it's just a bit of education you're going to share. Maybe it's just, some information about what you do. But because we've stacked up the engagement beforehand with the stuff that people want to see, the algorithm is automatically going to show our more business promotional post to more people organically. And
right.
that's probably the one we want to step into a little bit of Facebook ads if we want to do that, if we have the budget for that, and if we have a real clear strategy of how to move the engagement from there to getting into conversations with people, or getting them onto Messenger, or getting them into your email list, or meeting up with them, whatever your business model is. You've got to have a strategy how to drive that. But if you're when you post about your business, you want to have people interested, and you want to have the algorithm working with you, and you do that with that engaging content beforehand.
Right,
And
right.
then you've got people paying attention to your business. Now you've got people interested. I mean, when I'm looking, so a perfect example is how you and I started working together. I posted in a very big, very local group that I was looking for an accountant.
Mhm.
And within an hour, I had probably 50 comments of people going, this one, this one, this one, tagging their friends and their accountants and saying, she's great. She's helped me so much. And out of all those comments, there was only one person who cared about me, and that was you. And you reached out to me.
Oh.
So everybody else could have reached out to me. It was relationships. It was the same when I chose a photographer. But why was I interested in working with you or with that photographer? Because you guys showed interest in me first. So that's
Right.
what we're doing with these engaging posts is we're showing interest in the reader. We're showing them that we're interested in them for more than the sale we can make that we're trying to make.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that, obviously, so it's a surprise to me. But it makes me feel good because, like, what I always say, like for myself and for my team, I have grown my business on relationships. Like, I don't see people as a client. Like, I see them as a relationship, and they
Mhm.
matter, right?
Yep.
And it's something that we're always talking about as a team. Like, these people matter. They have
Mhm.
things that are going on,
Yep.
and we need to know about them, right? It's like you post pictures of the cookies. Like, you moving from sole proprietor and corporation, that's a big deal. It
Yep.
matters. And building that relationship with clients, like, not just so they'll stay with us, but like to truly acknowledge, like, you're this is fucking awesome. Like, let's celebrate.
And there's more to it. The first time you sent me cookies, you know that I said how much my kids love those cookies. So the
Yeah,
second time when you sent me something, you knew my kids would love those cookies. That's a depth of relationship that comes from paying
right.
attention to the people that you're interacting with. And that's what we're trying to get to on Facebook. Now, the
Oh,
ad this is the relationship that we're building. We want to ask people, how long have you been a parent? Here's a perfect example. I had a client who offers autism support services throughout the province here. He's got 14 offices, he's got a ton of staff, he serves a lot of people, he serves families who have kids with autism. He had an offer that he wanted to promote coming up a few months later, wanted to specifically for people with kids under 10. It was an alternate education service that he was providing. We decided his page was it was about 1,100 people, but it was very quiet. Nobody interacted. All they'd been doing is posting about their programs, their services, what they'd been doing. And people are like, well, okay, I need that, but I'm coming to Facebook to be distracted from that. So I'm not going to pay attention to that right now. So
oh
we
yeah.
had about 3 months where we built up the engagement, but we asked a question: how long have you been a parent? Now, we didn't ask how old are your kids because people wouldn't have answered that because that sounds a little creepy. But we asked, how long have you been a parent? And within an hour, we had 50 comments, 65 comments, something like that. 24 hours later, he reached out to me and he goes, I don't know how I can respond to all of these. There's like over 100 comments from this
Wow.
basically dormant page that nobody had been interacting in. But people wanted to talk about themselves, our favorite topic, wanted to talk about
Yeah.
ourselves. And he made
Yeah.
an easy question that was simple to ask and simple to answer. It didn't take up time. They didn't have to bare their souls. They maintained their social structure amongst their community, right? What we found out was the majority of the people were saying 35 years, 40 years, 28 years, 25 years that they had been a parent. And we could extrapolate from that that most of the people who interacted with that post did not have kids under 10. And we knew we had to change our strategy to get in front of people who had kids under 10 for his launch to actually result in what he wanted.
Oh my God, you're so smart.
Market research, while engaging people, those people now went, oh, that page is much more interesting to me because it's not all about them. The algorithm said, oh, they're interested in our community, in Facebook's community, not just about doing business. We spent $1,500 in ads in 6 months total, not per month, over 6 months. And at the end of the day, when he launched that, he generated an extra $200,000 in revenue.
Wow.
That's an
Oh my
extreme
God.
example. Of course, it doesn't happen for everyone, but it represents how using his page for non-businessy things that was more about relationship building actually made him stand out in the newsfeed, made Facebook work with him instead of against him, made
Right.
people notice him and know that he was interested in them. So they were interested when he said, by the way, I've got this alternate choice for you.
Yeah. That's so good. Oh my God. You are so smart. Seriously, like this interview is blowing my mind. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. And I think you might have to be in my budget for next year.
This is
Um,
the fun part that I love to do, and I love to have people like you go, "Oh, I never thought of it that way before." Because we come on and we think I need to know the technical side of it. I post and I do this and I run ads, and it's not that. It is way more energetic and relationship and fun and free than that. But you've got to have a strategy as well.
yeah, and you obviously, it's clear to me that you have a very strategic brain. So I have a real appreciation for that. So lots of people, um, like lots of our clients are coaches and consultants. They run programs or they have launches, memberships, all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
What like how can people use Facebook to have like a fantastic enrollment in their like an
Mm,
amazing launch?
mhm, mhm. So important. I mean, we're entrepreneurs. We're here on Facebook to make money, to serve people, to sell out
Mhm.
programs, to impact other people's lives and help other people change their lives. So of course that's the bottom line. That's the goal. So um, it's really four steps that I teach. And on your little scroller there, you've mentioned about the client attraction formula workshop that's coming up on Monday. And we go really deep into these four steps over that course of that 5-day workshop. It's only $15 to get into, so it's not a huge
Oh my
investment.
God.
But
What
we talk about
Okay,
it's
so as your accountant, it's too cheap, okay?
okay. So okay. I've got the analytic mind. There's more. I have a strategy. Okay,
Totally,
so
I'm sure you do.
this is part of what I want people to really get, that this does not have to be that messy, cumbersome, overwhelming piece to your business that you don't have time for, that you can't make time for, and that you don't know why you're doing it. That's the piece that I want to take out. And that's why I do these workshops that are very low price. And I've done some that are free, but this one is very low price. So we're going through those four steps. We need to get visible. We need to understand, like we've talked about here, how to use Facebook in order to maximize our visibility on Facebook. And it's not probably what most people have been doing. I've shared a little bit here about what that is, but we've got to really play with that visibility piece to be seen. Because if nobody knows about us, nobody's buying, right? I mean, the analogy I make is if you go on holidays, back when we could go on holidays, and you go to a town that you don't know and you're walking down the middle of a street and you're hungry and you're looking for lunch, there's two restaurants on either side. One is empty, there's no music playing, and the staff are leaning up against the bar looking bored. And the other one has a wee bit of a lineup, and music are playing, and all the tables are full, and people are laughing and having fun. Which one are you drawn to?
Yeah, the fun one,
Right?
clearly.
So that's what we want to create. We need people to see us and know us and be aware that we're there, and then we need to provide them with that bit of escape for a moment. Then we need to really work on that engagement piece and building that relationship with people and getting into conversations with people. Then we have to have the strategy piece, which is what I call money maps, to get people to move from not knowing you, having fun with you, and now doing business with you. We have to have the plan. We have to be the leader on that. We can't rely on Facebook to make it happen. We can't rely on the people to find us. They are overwhelmed with content. We need to lead that charge with a plan on how we're going to do that. So we talk a whole bunch more about that. And then when we've got that in place and we know that that works, then we supercharge those results and reach more people with Facebook ads. So we have to be strategic
Awesome.
about when we use them and how we use them. So
I'm
that's
gonna
all covered in that workshop this coming week.
awesome. I just put the link in the little chat there, because I think that's, really important, and I think I'm gonna register for that and maybe even have my team member Katie register. Might be good
Sure,
for us
good.
to go through that together.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's a really fun workshop. I've been running it this year, and it's the four steps that I've used this year that allowed me to incorporate my business because I doubled my business this year.
Right?
these 4 steps over and over. And here's the thing, it's not like do it once, judge the results, and then do something else. It's do it once, learn from it, adjust, adapt, and do it again and
Yeah,
again, right?
awesome. Thank you so much for
My
this. Like, you just delivered so much great content and have actually, like, kind of blown my mind about some stuff. And I feel like just on a personal level, like I already do some of this stuff, and so it wouldn't be that much like it's natural. I was doing it naturally, so it wouldn't be that hard for me to get like a great result out of it, right?
right?
So
Just
I would just
maximize what
encourage
you're doing.
everyone, like, yeah, like to think about how you're interacting on Facebook, taking into consideration Sherry Lee's advice. And I would highly recommend for $15, like you're not going to get better value than that. And of course, I'm sure you'll invite people in to work with you, but um, I just, there's just some really good information. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love
Oh,
it.
thank you so much for inviting me to come on. It was totally always my pleasure to talk Facebook.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, everyone, I hope you guys have a great Friday and a really great weekend. I really want to encourage you to say yes to whatever mess you've got going on in your business. If that's finances, you need to give me a call. If that's Facebook, you need to give Sherry Lee a call. And if it's both, well, you need to get on the phone with both of us then and clean it up and move forward because you can create whatever reality you want to. It's totally your decision.
Absolutely.
So we'll see you guys later.